Thank you for making time. I really appreciate everyone who's in this call today, who's making time, and maybe you already had a long working day behind you, and you're still spending this time investing in yourself, because at the end of the day, the time you spend shows also the values that you have. Today, we're going to talk about the $1 Million Mindset, 5 hacks to elevate your mind and productivity. And since this is a virtual keynote, a virtual presentation, and usually I love live interactions with audiences and live speaking, but today we don't have that, right? So I want to ask you to fully go 100% focused on these coming moments together, because I believe that we're going to have a good time together. I will give you 200%, as I always do, to give you as much value as possible. And I believe that during the coming moments, there's maybe some inspirational moments, but what I really hope is that it's not just inspiring, but I really hope that I'm going to give you tools. That's my goal, to give you tools, practical things to implement, so you can actually elevate your thinking, your mind, and your productivity. All right. And I want to go deeper into this mindset, so you really understand. If I say shape your mind to shape your future, then we need to understand. Okay, how do we shape our mindset, and what is it actually that it consists of? So our mindset consists actually of 2 elements. Number 1 is our thoughts, and number 2 is our beliefs. Now, our belief system is really something that has been nurtured by our parents, by our teachers, by our peers, our friends, our bosses, you name it, maybe church or other religious institutes. It really is, and these things usually these seeds of your belief system have been planted from your early childhood. Your early childhood have been planted, and they really created a certain belief system for you. The thoughts that we have is something that we go through every day, because every day there's so many thoughts going through our minds. And research shows that we have between 50 to 70,000 thoughts per day. 50 to 70,000 thoughts per day. So on average, that's around 3,000 thoughts per hour. And these thoughts could be mundane things like, I don't know, when you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth, you're like, okay, I look really good today. Or you say like, oh, I need to sleep a bit more. Or I'm nervous for my presentation today. Or you feel challenged by a certain thing that you're confronted with in the office or with friends. All different types of thoughts. And the interesting thing when you dig deeper into this the thoughts that we have as human beings, is that 95% of the thoughts that we have are the same like the day before. 95% of the thoughts that we have are the same as the day before. So if you don't pay attention, you will become like R2-D2, and you will do today what you did yesterday. If we don't pay attention, if we're not intentional with our thoughts, if we don't really think about the thoughts that you have, the chances are very big, the probability is very big that tomorrow you do exactly the same. How you approach a certain challenge will be exactly the same like you did before. How you present things, or the feelings that you have when you're presenting things, will be exactly like the day before. So when we talk about these things, it is always about understanding how your mindset works, and knowing that the thoughts that you have can be changed, because per default 95% is the same. So if we want to change it, we need to be very intentional with the things that we put in here, the things we put in our mind. So I want to show you a few growth and fixed mindset statements, just to get a bit of feeling of, maybe you are also maybe you also have certain growth mindset statements or growth mindset thoughts going through your mind, or maybe some of you have a bit more fixed mindset statements going through your mind. And by the way, there's no right or wrong. The point of this is to know, because if you want to change, you need to change. And you cannot change what you don't know. And what I do know is that a growth mindset is key to growth, is key to elevating to the next level, is key to developing in your career, is key to flourishing in your life. So the reality is that we all of us in this call, we all have a mix of this mindset, right? Some can lean more towards growth, others lean more towards fixed. But I think the important part of this really is to be aware of your thoughts, to be aware of what's going on in here, and to really think that if these thoughts are helping you, these thoughts are actually adding more anxiety and worry, or are these thoughts actually opening up and releasing more potential that you have? Because the thing is this, in a game of soccer, soccer players need to score a goal. If there's no goal, there's no point of playing the soccer game. And I believe the same is true for our thinking. For our thinking, we need to be very intentional in what type of thoughts we are filling our minds with every day. Because if we don't put any goals for our thoughts, if we don't put any intention behind our thoughts, we already saw that 95% will be exactly the same like yesterday. So if we come to a stage where we say like, okay, you know what, especially now when we're talking about development, this is also like a personal development or career development session, we want to progress. And if we want to progress, I think the first thing we need to do is need to progress in our thinking. We need to put goals in our thinking, in our thoughts, so that at the end of the day, if our thinking can go up, if our internal game can go up, there is no other way that your external game will follow. There is no other way. So be intentional with your thoughts. Hack number two is go fast. If you want to go fast, you need to go alone. But if you want to go far, you need to go together. And I believe that life is not a sprint. Life is a marathon. I believe that working life as a professional, it's also not a sprint. It is a marathon. We're in this for the long run. And I want to tell you the story about the redwood trees. And for our friends in the US, I'm not sure in which part of the US you are, but these redwood trees, they grow there in California. And this tree is amazing. I don't know if any of you have seen or have been in the redwood forest, but these trees are the tallest trees in the world. The tallest trees in the world, higher than the Big Ben, higher than the Statue of Liberty. They can reach up to 115 meters plus, and they're over 2,000 years old. These are so incredibly impressive. And when you look at that, the diameter of a tree could be like 7 meters, right? So a car can just go through it. And what I find interesting about this redwood tree is because the big question I had actually was, if this tree is so tall, how deep need these roots grow for it to hold 115 meters of tree? It's 7 meters of diameter of 7 meters. It's huge. So I want to ask you, this is another segment where you can actually put your answers into the chat box. I want to ask you, how deep would the roots grow into the ground? So we're talking about a tree that is 115 meters tall, 7 meters plus diameter. Our car can just go through it without any problem. How deep do you think that the redwood tree's roots grow into the ground? Now I know they are so tall, but the roots go so shallow. The only reason why they are so strong and they can actually survive, seasons of wind and rain is because their roots don't go deep, but go wide. And as a forest, there is strong forest. And the only reason is that the roots are entwined with each other and hold on to each other to create an unshakable root structure. And how is that? How is that if we look at our work, if we look at our profession, and we look at our colleagues, we look at the company that we are? I mean, you guys are in so many different countries, so many different colleagues. So I think this is a great reminder for all of us to really emphasize the fact that, we need to be connected. We need to be connected because everything in life, it's always a team sport. So hack number 3 is be journey focused. Be journey focused. Enjoy the journey. And if you want it or not, I mean, I really believe that in this season right now, in the world we live in right now, sometimes we get distracted by things we see, especially that we see in social media, because we see a lot of prizes, we see a lot of people celebrating their good times or showing their good times. They're showing their trophies, their achievements, their mountaintops. You know, Jim Carrey said it beautifully that, you know, I think everyone should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of, so they can see that that is not the answer. That is not the answer. All those achievements or mountaintops or trophies is not the answer. Because when we talk about, you know, be journey focused instead of destination focused, I think there's a very important shift that you need to make. Because again, this society we live in is just destination focused. It is trophy focused, because we celebrate the trophies, we celebrate the big wins, you know, we celebrate the highlights, we celebrate the Instagram highlights, but we never see the actual footage. We never see the real footage, the behind the scenes footage, when things are tough, when Picasso is painting like an 8-year career and, you know, 50,000 paintings. We don't see that. What we see is that a painting that he painted in 24 hours is being sold for $106 million. That is what we see. And even now, if we talk about destination, right? If we talk about goals, I bet people in this call right now, you also have goals, maybe goals for some type of acceptance or some type of praise, whether it be online or whether it be in your work or in your family. Maybe you have goals for promotions or, you know, growing in your work. Maybe you have goals for your health. Maybe you also want to run on the beach with some red shorts and save people. Or maybe you have some goals related to your finances, you know. And I bet all of us have some type of destinations, have some type of mountaintops that we define, which are related to these areas. And I remember when I first started my company and I was, you know, we had a super small office. I also had these destinations, these goals that I defined, where I said, I want to grow this company into a huge company. It should be a multi-million-dollar company that has impact, and I want to be featured in all the big news outlets. And the funny thing is that when we raised money, and back then we raised around $15 million from Eduardo Severin, amongst others. The next day we went to the office, like nothing happened. We had to just work again. So, and the funny thing is, like, just now when I look back, then I see like, oh, those were highlights, right? But the highlight is literally, it's a highlight, and then it goes back again. Because even if I look back and I see those destinations that I defined for myself, those were great moments, but it didn't last very long. This mountaintop, you know, because of course, there was a moment where we said, oh, we raised money, and one of our founders is one of the co-founders of Facebook. This is like a highlight of my life. But staying on the mountaintop is not ideal, you know. They say that mountaintops are narrow and the air is thin. And these mountaintops could be your goals, you know, the goals that you have for your life or for your career, for your health. Research shows that happy people are more successful. Happy people have a higher probability of achieving mountaintops, achieving their goals. And it's not so much that the happiness just comes when they achieve it. No, they're happy along the journey, you know. So set meaningful goals and always remember that happy people are more successful. So hack number 4, audit your habits. And I love this because, you know, like we saw in the beginning, 95% of our thinking is the same like the day before. And the same goes for our habits. You know, there's a lot of things we do on a day-to-day basis, which is because we are a robot. It's because we're used to doing that. And I want to talk specifically about habit making. So what does it mean, right? I mean, habit is a choice that once we deliberately made, And now we don't think about it, but we still do it. That is really a habit. And I think it is crucial to once in a while to audit your habit, to really look at how you prepare your day, or how you do your meetings, or how you communicate, the words that you use, how structured you are, or how you deal with confrontations with your team. And I want to ask you specifically about one habit, which is, how does your waking up habit look like? I want to ask you, maybe actually you can put it in the chat box. Like, how does the first hour, what is the first thing that you do when you wake up? The first thing that you do when you wake up. You could type in the chat box, or you can just think about it. What is the first thing that you do when you wake up? And last hack number 5 is to choose productivity over busyness. Productivity over busyness. Okay, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. If this is you, you just say me. Okay, just say me. It's me. It's me. Okay, ready? Who of you here in this call is busy? Would say, okay, I am busy. I'm a busy person. In the office, I'm busy. Outside of the office, I'm also busy. Who of you would be, or would define himself or tag himself as busy? If this is you, just say me. Me, I'm busy. Say, me, I'm busy. I think everyone could say that they're busy. And it's not difficult to be busy. It's not difficult to fill up your calendar with things to do. But it takes intention to be productive. So there's a big difference between being busy or being productive. And at the end of the day, what I really believe is that great teams, and I believe APAR is a great company, and there's great talents that work there. So even then, great teams are only built by adding one productive person at a time. So this is, coming again towards these thoughts that we have, reflecting back to the 95% of our thoughts are the same like the day before. Being productive is a choice. It takes intention. So the big question is then, how do you become more productive? Which is a legit question. How do you become more productive? Because do you want to get more busy? You want to get busier? You want to become productive. I want to share the story about iceberg B15. This used to be, thanks to global warming, it's not anymore, but this used to be the biggest iceberg in the world. It was huge. It was almost 300 kilometers long and almost 40 kilometers wide. So just to give a bit of reference, that is as big as Jamaica, as the island of Jamaica. It was a huge iceberg. So why am I showing you this? Icebergs, in general, you only see 10% above the water. You don't see 90%, which is below the water. So can you imagine how big this iceberg B15 actually was below the water? But this iceberg actually is similar to our productivity. Because what we see and what is measured is our productivity. But our productivity is only an outcome of our purpose, having very clear the why we're doing what we're doing. And based on our purpose, getting our priorities in line so that it can produce the right productivity. So when we come back to that question, like how do we get more productive? Number one is be clear on your purpose. Understand, even if we go on the micro level, what is the purpose of today? What is the purpose of today at the office? Like what are the main things that we need to do? What is the purpose? Once we know that purpose, we can know and understand what is going to move the needle. What is going to move the needle so we can align our priorities. So just like Lionel Messi, purpose pushes our priorities. Once we have our priorities in check, in balance, we can drive our productivity. And our productivity is a huge influence for our profitability. And that profitability is also the fruit that you will bear in your career. the fruit that you'll bear in your relationships, in your private life. This applies to actually your life as a whole. Knowing your purpose, based on your purpose, understanding your priorities, and being productive, being fruitful. And when you're fruitful, it will impact the fruits that you will bear.